Hello and welcome. In the spirit of my brand new book, The Delicate Art of Transformation, I've been on a quest for truth. What does it actually take to create real, lasting transformation? And here you are on the precipice of something big. I don't think that's a coincidence that we should ignore. Welcome, my friend. Welcome to the True Transformation Summit. This is where true growth and transformation happens when the right person says the right thing at the right time and it all clicks. Those are the moments that make all the difference, and that is what this summit is here for. You're going to hear from some incredible experts who every single one I personally invited to be here. So listen with an open heart, do what they say, take what resonates, try the practices, get their free gifts, and let this space be the place where you find your next step. My name is Talia Joy. I'm your host. And if you want all the free gifts, the resources, and the only place where you can be entered for prizes, you can join the Insider Circle for free below. All right, without further ado, take a deep breath in. Think about what you are transforming, what you are here for. And let's dive into today's episode. Hello, Dr. Ray. How are you doing today? Welcome to the Awakening Her podcast and the True Transformation Summit.
It's great to have this conversation with you again.
Yes.
I had a good time last time as well. So there was a lot of gems in that conversation. So when your email came through, I was like, this is a strong yes.
Oh, I'm so thankful. And I invited you here personally because of that. I noticed when we talked last time, and I'll link it below as well, our previous conversation about manifestation, you have such a direct way of just inspiring, but also educating. And I love everything you talk about. I love when you're talking about relationships or manifestation, the power of the mind. You know, you've got so much to offer. So I'm so honored that you're here today and really excited about this topic.
Thank you.
So let's start to dive in. If there are people listening that are new to your work, let's just start with that. Who are you? And tell us a little bit about your work.
I am Dr. Ray. I have a doctorate in clinical psychology, a master's in counseling psychology. I'm also a father. My son is 11 years old. I am also a musician. So there's different hats I wear, and I also am a best-selling author. And I have been in the coaching industry for almost 3 decades now and helping people transform their lives. So I do go deeper, which you and I like to talk about. And so it's not just about doing the inner work. It's like, okay, how long is this going to take? Because I'm always processing. I now want to live my life. And so a big part of my work, I think what you're attracted to is that you're always going to be maybe working on yourself. In fact, you might get to a place where you don't have a lot of emotional issues, but you recognize you have an outdated belief that came from your ancestors or something, and you realize, wait a minute, that's not who I am anymore. And then you just move forward in a new direction with a new belief system. But a lot of people are, even in the healing space, it just seems like they never arrive. It's really simple. It's like all you have is this now moment. And in this now moment, you can either choose to love yourself now, or you can create an idea such as when I'm healed, when I have my new home or my new relationship. But when people really simplify things and get past all of those beliefs, they can arrive to that which they think they're seeking. And it does exist right now.
Yeah, absolutely. And we do have to keep maybe identifying beliefs that limit us. And we're going to dive way more into it. I want to hear your perspective on it. But there are these things that kind of have us hit, somewhat of a ceiling. So I love that we're going to talk about that.
Well, I'll give you an example. As I shared this, because it's similar to, like, say, a post or video I would make, and I would talk about being in a now, and accepting yourself, being satisfied with who you are. And I can already hear those say, well, how can you just do that with a corrupt government, or with a president who does this or that? Or they'll mention a war that's going on in another country, which are happening And things like this have been happening on the planet for a really long time. We've had a lot of negativity for a long time. And the real truth is that the veil is lifting up, meaning that we're seeing those shadows. But when we're also seeing those shadows, there's got to be a greater part of ourselves recognizing what type of earth we want to live on, what type of relationships do we want to experience. And it's true that there are things happening and many things that are out of our control. However, keep in mind that, let's say, when Hitler got into power, it was during a time when people were desperate, meaning operating on a lower frequency. Therefore, rather than putting power into themselves, trust into themselves, they projected it outward onto this individual. And so when we are in these positions, such as where there's a lot of things happening on the planet that are negative, what we have to remember that how we vibrate, how we model our life, how we deal with conflict, how we communicate with our spouse, our children are watching. The generations to come are watching. And so we have to put more energy into our presence now. Our presence now. That's why I say be in the now. It doesn't mean forget about what's happening. It's recognizing that, so like, here I am in this very now moment, okay? And there are challenges happening on the planet, but those challenges were caused by people being in fear. So why do I want to contribute to that vibration? I don't want to be in fear. I want to be in love no matter what.
I love that. I love that you're also just addressing it head on, because as you say, there is a lot of like, yeah, but, and it's not all or nothing. It's not like, oh, all those things are excuses. None of it matters. And it's not, all of it matters and let it determine every, feeling you have. It's somewhere in the middle, as you're speaking to so beautifully, of like all this stuff is going on. Shit's hitting the fan in every way. People, even just within our families, within our communities, stuff isn't always going the way we want. But something I'm hearing as you're speaking is like, we can choose how we respond versus react. Even when shit's hitting the fan, you said, all we have is this now moment. So I love that you're bringing that up. And I also want to ask, you talk about how transformation isn't just about doing more and more effort. People who are growing and high achieving, it's like, it's not just about doing more things. It's about this here and now. So I'd like to hear more about that. I'd love to hear your thoughts.
Yes, absolutely. So I've been on the healing path for like a really long time. And it's kind of funny how when I met my partner, Nicole, how she primarily listened to more yogic music. Like it had been a long time since she had listened to current music. And I was always playing like 70s rock. I just love 70s rock. I love music that can get me up, dance, and so forth. And when we would go to these spaces where it was music for, say, healing, or it was softer language, it felt very performative, like as if people were wounded, and that we have to create this sacred container all the time. Otherwise, that we're going to lose our shit, we're going to be triggered, that we're going to lose our mind, or that healing can only come from, say, softness and gentleness. When the reality is that healing can come from just in this now moment, recognizing everything in your life is what you need. This very moment, everything in your life is what you need. It doesn't mean you prefer it. It doesn't mean that you thought about it when it showed up. But I know people listening to this, you probably will agree that there are many things you've gone through, and it's helped you love yourself more. There are things in which you recognize, if I had not taken that path, If I had not gone through that breakup, if I didn't lose that job, I wouldn't have known this about myself. So now I have more awareness. And that's what it's really about. It's being able to have awareness about how you want to show up and be. So to the question about like the transformational space, that every moment you actually are transforming. Every second, every moment. Even this conversation with you, Talia, we're different people because consciousness is not static. That's what's interesting about this. So if I understand how physics works and my mind is moving to the space of I need to do healing, even if it sounds positive, and I'm taking personal responsibility. I want to do healing. I need to heal this. I need to heal this. Then there's also the question, when do you know you have arrived? When are you going to be satisfied? When are you going to be happy? And so if I put my energy into also the understanding that I can love myself right now, I can be satisfied right now, and I can build from this space of right now, then I can create that new direction that, say, to get things moving in that space. As an example, I was with my realtor, and there's a couple things we had spoken about, and one of them was that I play music. Okay, I've been a musician for decades, and I was on a radio, and I haven't performed since like March 13th, 2020, and I'm tired right now, but I auditioned for a band. It went really well, and I said to him, I said, my fear wasn't whether or not I would make the audition. My concern was whether or not I can stay awake past 8:30 p.m. because I'm so used to going to bed early because I have kids. But I also said that if I don't try, if I don't get my body in that direction, then how will I know? And how will I build that new muscle? And that's what I'm talking about, where we move in a new direction. You don't know where it's going to go. But the thing is that the reason why we are here physically is to move physically. That's this third dimensional reality, our physicality is connected to our spirit. We're not separate from it. It is why we chose this human incarnation. So if we're not moving in that direction, literally, physically, if we're not expressing our word, like literally, then we're not necessarily integrating that which we're becoming.
Absolutely. And I love how you're saying about, the hard things you've been through have maybe made you love yourself more or taught you resilience or self-reliance. And so coming back to the mind piece, I'm almost hearing like a belief or something that we can reframe is like when resistance comes up, when hard things come up, this is teaching me something as well, as you said. This
Absolutely.
is giving me something.
Well, the most difficult thing, even for people who've been on the spiritual path for a really long time, is the idea that all of these stories are an illusion. They really are, meaning that the idea that making more money will better my life is not a physical thing. It is our conscious construct creating this identity and false sense of self, and the idea that our happiness is like on a layaway plan. And so when you understand yourself from that perspective, then maybe it'll make you a little bit more malleable, such as, sure, I want to have goals. Sure, this can help create some comfort, but I don't really know. But what would be the mindset if I had my bills paid? What would be the mindset if my business was working? Because there's a version of yourself that you are attracted to, but making more money or like getting a new dress or all these other things are not necessarily the things you really need to love yourself more. If they are a choice, like a preference, great. But from where we are, that we can step into that state of mind of that creation. So as an example, I brought up just the music thing. Well, I know what it's like to be on stage performing. So I'm not going to dwell on, oh my God, like I'm used to going to bed early to, I broke my right toe a month ago, okay? And so it doesn't hurt that bad. I'm standing on it right now. But there could be an idea that I'm limping, but I'm not going to go, oh my God, I look like Gandalf with a cane. I'm not. People will think the worst things about their situation and not realize in that moment, someone loves you. In that moment, you're beautiful as you are. In that moment, you're offering gifts. In that moment of while you might feel like you're struggling and you want to get to some point, there's other people who want to be like you. There are other people that you could be in service for. And so that's why I bring it back to the state of mind is really where we want to move into. And when we move that state of mind, not only will we start to feel better, we'll actually start to attract more onto that experience, things of that nature that we probably prefer, or maybe something will show up that's unexpected, that's even better. We have to trust. And when we recognize that pretty much everything is an illusion, you're not clinging to the outcome. Bottom line, because when you're clinging, you're resistant. And when you're resistant, you're not experiencing God. You're not experiencing your God self.
Yes. Oh my goodness. That's so powerful. It's almost like your soul, the higher being in you, is actually calling you toward the mindset versus calling you toward the money. But the human goes, I want the money. Whereas your soul and your growth and your evolution is actually, you're saying, I want the energy. I want the mindset of safety, of security. So it's like we feel, I know you experience this where people say, yeah, but look at my bank account. Yeah, but I can't get paid more at my job. Yeah, but. So it's almost like the growth assignment behind even wanting the money is actually the mindset of security, safety, worth, wealth, et cetera. What comes up for you with that?
Yeah, it always comes back to the belief of I'm not enough, therefore I think this will work, or I feel abandoned, therefore I need this to, I don't feel safe, I don't trust. And it really, so what's interesting about the human hero's journey, I would say, I know it's a generalization, but most people pursue the relationship or the career or something like that. That's, I think, just more mundane. But that path, what's really important about that path is our becoming. So whether we reach the destination or not, we get those things or not, there are lessons in that experience, no matter what. I'll share kind of, an example, because I had this thought recently, a couple of days ago, and I've moved 3 times in a short period of time, which is not something typically I do. And I'm checking out another house. We went through inspection yesterday, and there was a part of me was recognizing that it seems like I always have a lot of projects. I just never really slow down. And I'll tell you something personally that's happening. I realized after all of this, I'm in pretty good shape. I work out. My testosterone's great and everything, but I could not figure out why it is that I was having other issues from libido, my growth hormones were lower, to other things. And we finally found out, and that was that I'm insulin resistant. I'm like, me, of all people, I eat healthy, I exercise, but the vibrational message behind insulin is the sweetness of life. The sweetness of life. If you look at German medicine or Louise Hay book, it's that I have not necessarily absorbed the fruits of my labor. And so I'm recognizing as I accomplish things, and there are people who think that they're gonna, what you're wanting is that sweetness. You're wanting the fruits and whatever. Well, you're seeing somebody who got those things, and I still didn't eat the apple. I still didn't enjoy the sweetness. So even my shadow has been chasing that. So when I speak about this, it's coming from my own experience and my own arrival in a way in my physical body. Part of why I've been going to bed earlier is to heal my body. But I notice my mindset, somewhat part of the collective also, is that I do want to expand. I do want to create more things. And there are things I enjoy. But I also know this is what's more important for me is just the pause. Where am I? I'm right here. And when I'm here, am I feeling satisfied? Am I feeling happy? Yeah, right now I am. Well, even though I've been teaching this stuff for 3 decades, and even though I've tracked those things, and even though I teach people how to get there, I myself am a forever student as well. And I'm being reminded by, I wouldn't say physical limitations. I would say that my physical body is giving me what I need. So I am unlimited in my consciousness. I'll say that my challenges, if I move all the way through it, every challenge I've been through, my relationships to my business going up and down, when I've gone all the way through it, it was everything I needed to know about how to love myself better, how to be a better practitioner, how to show up with more presence on a conversation like this. So it's where, as if maybe the path is to become that wiser, happier person through this pursuit. That's why more and more, like, I just don't take my life and who I am that seriously, because it's all an illusion. And yes, I do have an attraction to some things, but now I'm taking more pause and wondering, am I going there because I feel like my bowl's empty right now, or is it something I truly desire or need? And so we start moving through life that way. We start having more appreciation that what is here, who loves us now, and who we can serve right now.
That's so beautiful. And I love it because pointing to that mindset shift, you're taking something that is a physical thing that a lot of people can resonate with. Either it's insulin or it's pain or it's arthritis or it's, something going on in their body. And instead of just generalizing it as bad in your mind or I'm doing something wrong, or instead of going down that way, you actually went to, there's something deeper here for me. And that started the inquiry to your own realizations of enjoying the moment more, absorbing the sweetness, so you're learning these deeper lessons, and you wouldn't be a good practitioner if you weren't a forever student. So that just shows your devotion to the work. So something even physical going on, you're looking at it like this is an opportunity to learn. And I think that's something that is just so powerful, because I could see how having that mentality, there's something here for me in relationships, in business, in self-confidence, in the gym, in abundance. It just feels like it shifts our whole, trajectory. It shifts our whole perception. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on that. And also maybe some of the unconscious beliefs that you see a lot of people have.
What I'd like to add, and maybe it'll connect to that question, is that my mother, who passed away, and everyone thought she would live up to 100. She's from Okinawa, so it's even part of her genes to live longer. She had diabetes. I didn't have that, but just my blood work showed some things in which I recognized that might be some generational imprint I inherited. Now, when I mention it that way, I'm not talking about it from the perspective of being a victim to like physical genes. I'm talking about where one thing that my mother as well didn't do was take in the sweetness of life. She was a more serious Asian woman. And so she was somewhat stoic. And my father actually outlived her. And he was supposedly way unhealthier, like had Agent Orange in his body, but he had such an open heart, just that alone, like kept him alive. and he lived 2 more years longer when she passed away. But my mother and my parents were the vehicles for me to learn this in this life, but not just that. So I am part of let's say the oversoul experience in which that as I move through this, as I share about this, my sons, other people listening to this can maybe hear this message. And what I am doing, because my body went through this so I can heal, but also how I can share about it. Because there's many people who are not experiencing joy right now. They're overperforming. They're workaholics. And even if they're on the spiritual healing trajectory, I mean, if the only difference is this, like maybe say a year ago, they were working on Wall Street or an advertisement. Now they switched to more this healing path. They're just as obsessive and clingy and controlling about it the same way. It's just a different mask in that even if I suppose you get to a place of being completely healed, and there are things I've completely moved past, I've graduated through, I am here vibrationally to create an impact with the collective, so generations to come are freer from this. And what I mean by this, here's a good analogy. If you look at human beings from the 1900s to like my father, when he was my age, I'm 56, he looked way older. Life was so much harder, literally, but consciousness was far more dense. So the Gen Xers look a lot younger, way younger. But I do know this, if you look at a 17-year-old from the 1980s, he might look like a 27-year-old now. You know what I mean? It'd be like, that guy looks pretty old. I know generations, to come, like the Gen Zs, they're going to maybe look even younger because hopefully physically they don't have to work as hard, but also collectively, spiritually, we are evolving from the fear mindset of separation to the competition, to compare ourselves, to be overachievers. Things are shifting and opening up. So a big part of this healing can happen on a more accelerated way, which fast is not the goal, is recognizing you're not here just to heal yourself. You're here healing for all. And when we open ourselves up to that, that's when things start moving through us. Because what happens is that we connect to that frequency of others who are moving through it also. So we don't feel alone, but we go with that beautiful current that's moving in that direction of expansion.
Yes, absolutely. And I love that you're talking about this because it doesn't mean you have to have a business or you have to be some sort of certified healer. It's like as you walk through your growth path, you inspire your friend who's wanting to get healthy. You inspire a neighbor who just went through a divorce, or who you are being is expressing that growth. And so I love that you're relating this to your genes and how we often think things are passed down in the genes, although we could talk all about epigenetics and talk about that. I've had chronic pain since I was 12, and I was told it's a connective tissue disorder, most likely passed on in the DNA. And the funny thing is the second I heard passed on in the DNA, a light bulb went off, and I immediately got that memo of like a generational emotional pattern, rather than like, oh, can't do anything, it's my DNA. I had already known about epigenetics. I had already been knee deep. So when I saw that, it actually helped me to go, oh, that's true. Like my Nana had some of the same emotional patterns and putting her needs last and hunching over. And, and then I see that in my family, and all of a sudden it was empowering to go, wow, I can work with this. I love that you're speaking to that because that's a huge one.
Yes. And when we approach healing that way, I don't know why it is that it puts us in that space of being more connected. And I've just seen more miracles unfold in front of me. Because when we become more self-absorbed and think that this is what I need, my experience is that there's more of an experience of being alone and separation. But everyone's moving through this no matter what. All of us are, and we're not alone.
I love that. Oh, this has been such a great conversation. So, as we start to wrap up, something that I've said before to my community is you don't manifest with a lazy mind. But I'd love to hear your take on that.
Well, what's been very humbling, and what I recognize, it probably came more with working with clients, and then I heard myself say it to myself, even though I'm speaking to a client, it's moving through me, and I know that it's something my spirit guides are telling me. And that is, most of us, I know it's a generalization, we think we have arrived at some success, whether it's avoiding an argument or making more money or avoiding dating some, say, narcissist, to whatever story we create by our control, like meaning we don't pick up the phone, or we tell people to do this way, or we try to manipulate things. And the truth is this, is that there is so much happening in the unseen. And what I mean by that is, you don't know, like when you are about to have a conversation with someone, you don't know who they had a conversation with at Starbucks. You don't know what they saw on Facebook. You don't know what they dreamt of. That every one of us is having personal downloads, whether we're aware of it or not. So while we think in our logical mind, there are certain steps and things that we need to do to achieve our goals. Look at everything that you think you've moved past. That was supported by the universe. You have a belief, you participated, and you did participate. But what if you realize you only participated about 20% and the rest was on God, or whatever you want to call it? And when you wrap your mind around that philosophy, what it does, it makes you recognize that things are going to manifest anyway. So if things are going to manifest anyway, and I learned that being happier and positive will attract better or things I prefer, then I'm not going to focus so much on manifesting, but I'm just going to show up in that mindset as if I attracted it already and just let life do its thing anyway. Done. That's how I look at it. You know, I think I shared with you last time, I led a law of attraction group of 10,000 people in Santa Monica. And I started that group about 2 years after The Secret came out, to help people understand that their emotions are really what's attracting and creating things. So I went into it deeper, that what you attract is what you need, and you can grow and expand on it. But 2-3 decades later, like, I've given up on the whole idea that you even have to focus on what you want to attract, that it's more about stepping into that state of being. Like for myself, it could be as simple as this. What was it like when I had a lot more energy? What was it like to move around and like not even think about it, you know? And I'm going to share this. This might be a little more TMI, but I had IBS for 13 years. It's gone, and it's been healed for over probably 15 years. But I remember that. I remember having IBS and having this thought, what was it like to be able to poop anywhere? What was it like to be able to poop at McDonald's, whatever? And I went, you know what? I took that for granted. I never even thought about pooping. I went, wow. And now I obsess about pooping. And when I got that, that's when I went, I'm just going to let this go. And of course, it was connected to control. And that was what was happening to my body as well. So people ask, how did you heal the IBS? I said, well, yeah, I used acupuncture, herbs, and whatever else. But the truth was, I let go trying to heal it. I let go trying to heal it. Because if I'm focused on what is not healed, I keep attracting and being the mindset of someone who's not healed. So I'm not like pretending it's not there. I'm just putting my focus into what I want to create anyway. and just deal with that, meaning that before I was like, oh, do I want to go out? Do I want to eat? But I mean, I was like this. I'm like, you know what? I'll just deal with it if it shows up. If I have challenges, I'm cramping, whatever it is. And sure enough, within about a year to 2 years, that went away because I let go. I let go. And I became that state of mind of kind of like the person prior to IBS. I don't even think about poop and it just happens.
Absolutely. I didn't think that a story about poop could be so deep. But I also don't think there's ever been an episode where we've said the word poop so many times. No, but I hear you in that. And even by hyper focusing on like, I'm going to manifest a trip to Thailand. I'm going to manifest a trip to Thailand. Yes. It's very easy. In fact, probably 99% of people, into that energy of I'm going to manifest a trip to Thailand comes, I am not in Thailand.
Yes.
So there's this coupling. It's like the dark side of your desire is I don't have it. That's why I want it. And I remember that was a big epiphany. If someone with $1 million has $1 million in their bank, are they walking around going, I want $1 million. I want $1 million. Like, no. So that's what you're pointing to. It's like just being in that natural state rather than hyper fixating on what you want. So I love that you're saying that is like, we don't even have to hyper fixate. The vision board is great, but all the vision board does is paints an essence of what you desire. It's not so much about the car and it has to be black and it has to be this. It's like, I don't know. I just love that you're pointing to that because manifestation is evolving and all of that. It's more nuanced now. I feel our awareness of what energy, how it really works.
I love how you wrap that up. Like I noticed that in the last conversation we had that you elaborate on what I say in your own words, and it always sounds great. So I just want to say that. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. I like your reflections.
Thank you. And that's why I love these conversations because we can just, jam out on this stuff. And thank you.
Cool.
So as we wrap this up, I would love to hear if you can think of something tangible, something physical, because, everybody that's listening to this is going to be marinating in the vibes of this episode. And I'd love, something that they can go out and do today, even if it is writing something, thinking something, taking an action. Is there something that comes up to kind of sum this up?
Yeah, I'll just give a little exercise here. And it would be like, there might be something that you're looking to manifest, you're trying to understand. Even it might be about a belief. And just ask the question, what's the one thing I keep experiencing that I don't want? And what I mean by that is it that you don't have it, or it's a belief you don't have it? Very important. So what I mean by that is sometimes people, like it'd be no differently than being in a restaurant by yourself and you see a couple together and you feel your heart sink and you say, I'm not in a relationship. But if you were complete in that moment, you would just celebrate that couple. So that's a question to ask yourself. So ask yourself, what's the one thing I keep experiencing that I don't want? The next one would be is, what would I have to believe for this to keep happening? And so what I mean by that is that it'll definitely make you be a little more introspective. And that would be, with the couple, it would be that my sense of self or my happiness is outside of myself, or that I'd be more complete if I was in a relationship. And then go even deeper, and that would be, and if it's true, what does that say about me? And hopefully you'll say it's not true. And hopefully you can recognize that there's a hidden belief there that's creating that hidden belief, such as whatever comes from that conversation of comparison and so forth. And then the last question would be something more like, what would I be like anyway without this belief? And what will come up will be more confident, happy anyway. And it'll move you maybe into that mindset of what we spoke about, of being in that state of mind already. Because again, remember, you brought up millionaire, and a person who has $1 million or a bunch of, several $1 million, it's not like they walk around like I'm a millionaire. It's not even a belief. Like the money in the bank doesn't create any like extra social currency. In fact, there's a lot of millionaires and billionaires who are insecure. So what it really is for most people is that you have an idea that it's what you really want is that you think you'll have a better life with $1 million. There's this idea that you would create better experiences as a millionaire. And when you go down that path, you'll recognize, wait a minute, those are things I can actually create or attract right now. Now, that doesn't mean you can fly all over the world. It doesn't mean you can buy a jet. But what is the state of mind of flying around the world or having a jet? What would it be like to be in that state of mind? You might go, I feel confident. I feel satisfied. I feel more secure. I'm looking at life from a more optimistic perspective. I'm not worrying. Well, that's state of mind. And that's whether or not you're a millionaire or not. So it's arriving to that space.
That's so powerful. That is just it. Yeah, it's so powerful because that is a little hook that I think that I fell into for so long with, especially money. You know, what would I feel? Who would I be if I had the first thought was the Amazon cart, the trip that's booked, the Airbnb, the real estate. And I had that realization. I feel like one time it was probably my spirit team, it probably happened in my head, but it was like, not what would you buy? How would you feel? And then I skipped to like, okay, if I had a trip book, this dream trip booked or my successful business, whatever it was, how would I do the dishes? How would I be getting ready for the day? When I'm in my closet, I'm choosing my clothes. That's what we're talking about. How am I being? Not what's in my Amazon cart and what fancy shit do I have? It's like you said, as you're going about your day, you're feeling calm. You're feeling, maybe I'm excited because like, ooh, the trip. I can go to that. I can think of a time I had a trip booked and conjure up that like, oh, that feeling when it's a few days away. And, you know, I'm creating it right now just by talking about it. That's more, as you're saying, of what you're going for. And the backdoor hack to quote unquote manifestation, because when you are being it in this now moment, as you beautifully said near the beginning, that life will match that. And I love that you gave us this exercise to do. I'll put that in the show notes as well.
Well, the opposite is of like not matching a good creation or manifestation. That is, I went to Costa Rica in December with my partner. We went to Nassau, and the thing was, I paid for the trip. Everything worked out perfectly. But when I arrived, I was practicing other things such as concerns about my son getting to his mother, to other things that I wasn't even a vibrational match to the vacation. It took me a while like a day or 2 days to settle into my body. And of course that helped by getting a massage but it was the massage going, okay, I'm finally here. I'm finally here. And the thing was, it wasn't the Airbnb we had. It wasn't that I was able to afford to be in Costa Rica. It was actually being present with myself. Because when I got there, it was beautiful. When I got there, like physically, like everything was beautiful. But I was still, I brought my workaholic self there. I brought that version of myself there. So it's like, it's a state of mind. And then when I was there, I thought about where I live right now. And I was thinking about, man, there's some beautiful creeks I haven't checked out. I went, I am going to try, and I have been, try to be that state of mind in Costa Rica where I live now. That's what it taught me on that trip, which I'm practicing, and it's starting to work.
That's incredible. Yeah, it's so true. We said this before we hit recording, but Dr. Wayne Dyer says you take yourself everywhere you go. And I've been face down on a massage table, stressing about how much it costs and my failing business and whatever else. Or I've been face down on a massage table going, this is a blessing right now. And that's just in my hometown, right? I can go, this feels so nice. What a luxury. I'm so grateful someone's helping me with my tense muscles. And that can be at home. You can, stress about it or be in it, as you're saying, and enjoying that moment, whether you're in Costa Rica or, in your own living room doing something.
Yeah.
So thank you so, so much. This has been so valuable. So just before we go, where can people find you? Where do you hang out? Social media? Where can we go to learn more about you? And also if you have any programs or any offers right now, if anyone wants to jump into your world and learn more.
The best place to visit is my website, which is raydoktor.com, RAYDOKTOR.com, or go to my Facebook page. I can give you all the links down below to find me. And I also have a book called All It Takes Is One, which helps people break down the structure of their consciousness to move through those limited beliefs, but also uncover those hidden beliefs that might be blocking you. It gives you a guideline how to actually do it in real time. So I'll give you all of those links as well.
Oh, that's amazing. That book sounds incredible. Yes, I will definitely put everything below. Thank you again, Dr. Ray. This has been so great, and I hope you have a fantastic day. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for tuning in to the True Transformation Summit. Make sure to take what this guest said, implement it into your life, check the show notes for their gift and to follow along on the journey, and make sure to tune in to the next guest episode. Namaste.